Hey there, Uncle Dean. How's it going? Hey to everybody else that's there right now. Currently at AIT on some free time in our day room. And, well, I just want to get a message out there. Hey, Uncle Dean. I officially graduated basic training. Well, this letter was written a little bit ago, but it says I was going to start AIT on Tuesday. It's currently Thursday right now. So I've had a little bit of experience there. It's been fun. But anyways, basic was an experience right from the start. When I first got to reception, not even where basic begins, it sucked. It was all just sitting in lines waiting to do paperwork, get some shots, be issued some sort of gear, stuff that we just basically had to keep a hold of because we didn't use half of it. Days drug on forever. It was long. It was just absolutely horrible. When the day finally came for us to go to basic, I woke up a little sick, which wasn't a good way to start off. We still had a couple of things we had to do too. Like we had to get some shots. We had to take a virus pill. We had to get a peanut butter shot. That thing was horrible. Did not like that. But the virus pill actually made me really sick for the first 3 days of basic. The peanut butter shot, it's not actually peanut butter, obviously, because that would be really bad. But it's a penicillin shot. We just call it a peanut butter shot because the consistency, it's just it was horrible. The needle on it was huge and it hurt so bad. I had a lump so big on my ass from where that thing went in. Like it felt like it. I don't think I actually did, but it just felt like it. I like massaged my ass for a solid hour and a half too. It made me really sore too. I was, along with being sick, I was really sore for like 3 days. And when I took those pair of underwear off, they had this big old blood stain on them, like right where I got the shot. It was pretty nasty. I had to throw those underwear away. Anyways, after that, they had to pack up our 2 duffel bags, we actually had 3. We had 2 duffel bags full of gear and a duffel bag full of personal stuff. So, then we had to stand in line and wait for the cattle trucks and our new drill sergeants to come pick us up. That day was so hot. It was horrible. Part of it, I hadn't really accumulated to the weather yet. The other part of it just because it was really freaking hot that day. Like, I think the heat index was like 112. It was rough. We stood there for at least an hour, and then some semis pulled up, pulling some pretty nasty looking cattle trucks. Like, it's nasty. It looks like you just pulled some cattle out of them. It smells like it too. And then, of course, when the doors open, out of each one stepped a couple drill sergeants. Hey, when I saw them, I was like, oh, this is not gonna be fun. Like, they looked really mean. They looked scary. I also instantly knew that we were in for it and we're gonna have a really fun day ahead of us. They crammed at least 100 or so into each one of those trailers, and those trailers are like on a regular day, like because we use them afterwards too. They would let us put 75 or so people into each one. And so they crammed 100 of us with duffel bag. We had one duffel bag on. We put another duffel bag in a truck. Sorry, somebody's knocking at the door. I told them to go away. Then so yeah, as we're all cramming on there, and there's pretty much no room at all. There's a drill sergeant just yelling at us, screaming at us, telling us pack more people on, and telling us there's just all sorts of stuff. And so after they got us all in there, they made us close the windows too in like 112 degree heat index. We were basically in an oven, and it was an oven to stink too. It was gross. Smelled so bad in there, especially when a couple people farted, which did not go over well. And those cattle truck drivers drive like assholes, like straight up. They were flying around every corner, so everybody's weight was getting thrown all over. Like, I thought the truck was going to tip at any time, a wall was going to break open, we were all going to fall out, and there'd be privates rolling all over the road. But I was on a wall because I was one of the first people in there, and so it was, yeah, I got the worst of it. Everybody kept slamming onto me, slamming me into the walls. And then, like, suddenly the cattle car just, like, stopped. It was really abruptly, of course, too. It just slammed all of us into the wall, and I was in the very front, so all that weight got slammed onto me. And then, like, seriously, like, we didn't even have a second to recover. Like, the second the thing stopped, the doors got slammed open, and they're, like, hydraulic doors. So they make a ton of noise, and they, like, slam open really loud. And then there was just a drill sergeant right there yelling and screaming at us, And so it's a hell of an experience. It was a great way to start off basic, but we had to sprint off. We had to sprint out of there, duffel bag on and all that. We had to run, I don't know, I'd say probably about a quarter of a mile with a duffel bag on in full gear in this hot ass weather. We had our Camelback, but nobody really took the chance to drink it because it was scary. But we ran all the way down to formation with like drill sergeants just lined up all over the place. Like, I think drill sergeants come from all the other companies. It's like all the companies. There was at least 30 or 40 of them there, and they were just lined up everywhere, chasing us, taking your PC off and throwing it out in the field so you had to go pick it up. They were punching your duffel bags as you were running. It was knocking you off balance. I watched a couple people go down. It was pretty funny, but, I mean, at the time, it was really scary, and you wouldn't dare laugh even if it was funny because it was just way too dangerous. But once we finally got to the barracks, they all lined us up in big old lines, and they smoked us for at least an hour. The famous shark attack, pretty much, is what it's called. And they smoked us for an hour just doing all sorts of terrible exercises and stuff. Actually, it really wasn't that bad. It was push-ups and just different PRT exercises. But then they made us all go get our duffel bags and then sort them out, make sure we had all of our gear. And then they smoked us some more because some people didn't have all their gear. I just kept my head down and did my stuff, so my smoking, or like the smoking for me, wasn't really that eventful because I managed to kept my head down, didn't really get called out, didn't really get picked on. After that, we went upstairs, did some paperwork, got our 5-minute phone call. Last time we saw our phone for 9 weeks actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, when I put that phone away, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a horrible 9 weeks. But it wasn't necessarily my best my best 9 weeks of my life, but it wasn't bad actually. Like, that first 2 weeks was really rough because how sick I was. Like, I'd say the first 3 days I was really sick and really sore from the peanut butter shot and the pill, it just put me in a horrible mood. Plus, those are the worst days because you're getting attacked all the time. Drill sergeants don't leave you alone. You're always running. You're always doing so much stuff. But after a couple days, we ended up of just getting used to the system, getting issued more gear, of course. We ended up going out to this team building thing where it's like a team building exercise, so they could start picking out leaders and stuff. And they broke us up into squads and had us do a course. And the course we got put on, it was like there was like 3 poles up, and you couldn't touch the white of the poles, and there was like rubber on the top, and you had to get across, and you had like 2 or 3 boards. You had to get a 90-pound ammo can across and stuff like that. And so that was, a couple people fell off that. I looked like I was going to break the boards when I was going across it because, I don't know, I guess I'm just heavy. After that, we went to the PEX course, like a couple days later. I mean, it's not like you do something every day at basic. I'd say you probably do a big thing 3 days out of the week, and then the other couple days are you just learning stuff in the classroom. Like, especially that first week, we probably only did things two big things a week, and then learned a lot in the classroom about just the different rules. We got a lot of briefs. Like, we went to Kelly Hall, and we were getting, like, there was like 4 or 5 days that were briefs all day. And that was horrible because if you fell asleep, you got smoked so bad. I only fell asleep once, but I didn't get caught because one of my buddies was next to me and woke me up. But after a couple of days at Kelly Hall, they took us to PEX course, which is a big obstacle course. And we did that. Actually, before that, they took us on our 4K ruck march, which really isn't that far. It wasn't that bad, but we had to ruck to the gas chamber, which was the bad part. Gas chamber was horrible. Like, I honestly, I was walking in there, I was like, oh, this stuff isn't going to affect me that much. This stuff only affects the sissies and all that. No, it hurts so bad. Like, it's, like, that outline of my gas mask where my gas mask doesn't cover, where, like, the gas actually got to touch my skin, burnt so bad. Like, the stuff was getting in my pores, and it just stung crazy. And then they made us take off our mask and say a whole bunch of different stuff and breathe in the gas, and it got in your eyes. Ugh. It wasn't fun. But then after that, we ended up getting out of there and had to ruck back. And, like, that stuff was all over your clothes. So, like, if you're sweating and you would wipe your forehead with your sleeve, you'd get CS gas on your forehead again, and it would start to burn again. It wasn't that fun. After that, with that, like a couple days after that, we went to the PEX course, which is like what you expect a military obstacle course, like a military training obstacle course to be like. It has like all the different walls and the rope and the tunnels and the crawling through water, all that different stuff. That was pretty fun. I ended up doing that once with my partner, and we started like, I don't know, I say we were probably like the 10th group to start, and we finished the second group because like you ran it in battle buddy pairs, but there's like 200 some odd people, so there was a lot of people going. But we started 10th pair and finished with the second pair. And then I ended up doing it again because we had another guy who showed up who was at sick call, which is where you go if you're like sick or you're injured or you got a rash or something. He showed up and he needed somebody to go with him, so I went with him and did it again just because it was a ton of fun. I actually really liked it. After that, we were just doing combatives on Saturday, which was a ton of fun. Like the first, I don't know, I'd say probably like the first 3 times we did combatives was super boring. All we did was like stand there, and they would teach us different like moves and grapples and stuff, like a whole bunch of stuff I already knew, so I just kind of like stood there and watched because it wasn't really anything new for me. We ended up doing a way more fun combatives later on that I'll talk about, but we ended up going and doing a warrior tower, which was pretty fun. It's like a 40-foot tower. Well, no, the place that we rappelled down is 40 feet tall. The tower itself is actually really tall. But they taught us to rappel. We had to use a rope to tie our own rappel thing. I did not adjust well enough, so I was uncomfortable for the 2 hours I had to have that thing on. But that was pretty fun, rappelling down. Honestly, I was terrified when I was up there, but I didn't want to show the drill sergeants because they were like screaming at the people that were scared, and they were like messing with them. And I was like, oh, no. Ain't happening to me. And the worst part for me was stepping over that ledge and trying to find that little place for me to put my feet. I had a hard time with that. As soon as I got over there, though, it wasn't super hard. And we ended up, there was more of an obstacle course, like more like you'd expect for the military thing with like the rope you got to slide down on your stomach, the big ladders you got to climb, rope swing, the huge rope ladder that you got to climb down, all that stuff. We did that. Nothing really eventful happened. Like, I don't know. We had a lot of fun in between, like, some of our drill sergeants, like, we'd mock our drill sergeants. They'd say some funny stuff, and we'd mock them up in the bay. One time we were doing that, and the drill sergeant actually walked in. That was pretty funny. Everybody, like, freaked out and, like, tried to just, I don't know. We didn't get in any trouble. Our drill sergeants were pretty cool after they kind of got used to us because we were a handful, apparently. But the Warrior Tower is a blast. And then BRM, which is basic rifle marksmanship, we started doing that stuff. And that stuff was pretty easy for me. It came to me pretty naturally. I had an easy time with it. Shooting was I ended up starting off shooting pretty good, and the drill sergeant picked me out. They're like, yeah, they every time I came up, they were like, oh, well, this is going to be quick. And, like, they just knew from the start that I was going to be one of the better shots in the platoon and in the company and stuff. So I was pretty happy about that. But we ended up going on, you do like 3 weeks of BRM where basically all you do is BRM every day for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then you finally qualify at the end of that. And I ended up shooting a 35 out of 40, which is 36 out of 40 is expert, and 30 to 35 is sharpshooter, and then 23 to 30 is your marksman. And I was so mad I didn't get expert because my first 2 or 3 shots I pulled. My trigger squeeze was really bad, and so my drill sergeant was telling me I would have easily shot expert if I hadn't been messing up and been so nervous my first couple shots, which was pretty disappointing because I wanted that expert badge because there was only 2 people that got expert, and I was the 3rd highest shot in the company. So, and drill sergeant said I could have probably been the best shot if I hadn't been so nervous. FTX2 was a ton of fun, which is our field training exercise. Our first one, we really didn't do much. We marched out to the woods. We actually didn't even march that day. We took a tran, which is just like it's a cattle car or a bus or something like that. We took that out there and then just learned some field stuff, which was a lot of it's common sense stuff. A lot of it's just common sense stuff. They're just basically, I got to go out for head count soon. but that, and then we had one guy who had he had not heat stroke, but something like that, heat exhaustion. He went down that day. But FTX2, we did the 12K out to FTX2, the 12K ruck march, which was I don't know. Honestly, I think that one was probably worse than our 16K ruck march. It was pretty rough. It tore your feet up, all that different stuff. We ended up leaving at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, which is, although since I've been here, since I've got to AIT, we wake up at 4 o'clock every morning and go do an hour or two of PT. But basic training, we'd wake up anywhere from 3 to 5. We were lucky and we got to sleep into like 5:30 or 6 a couple times, that's sad because that's like I didn't even wake up that early for school when I used to be at home. But FTX2 was pretty fun. I mean, we ran around, shot blanks and stuff. We did a whole bunch of different training exercises.